Hello, welcome to another phi mapping video. Today we're going to look at some groups of things. Animals mainly, a few people in there. Got these photographs. Know some of the photographers, I didn't take any of them. And they're all fantastic photographs. Got Monica Silver, Simon Matzinger, David Claude, Emma Dooms, and M.D. Jerry. And that is a very historical photograph. And that's about all I know. Now we've got some different phi related ideas here that we can use to investigate these maps. We've got our basic shapes, and we've got our two different types, a phi map and a fib map, and they're square area maps. And then we've got some through line maps based on those patterns. And we can use these to investigate some phi relationships in here. So this photograph, Monica Silva, great picture, some cheetahs on a termite mound, I think. If we go to the whole mound and go tight to the top of the cheetahs, we get something like that. Not sure what that is saying, but it's definitely pointing to some harmonies there. And then if we go tight to the cheetahs themselves, or if we go end to end and down, we get that type of thing. Okay, neat. And if we do these kangaroos here, dancing or fighting or playing, up to the top. Fit right in a phi rectangle there, excluding the tails. Yep, that's a good one. Now these bison, so this guy, so per bison, a nice tight rectangle, about that upper body minus the legs, or the lower body minus the hump there. Actually could be like that. But in terms of the whole group, if we go from one end to the other end, then it's going to be almost as big as this guy. So yeah, that's a relative phi rectangle, perspective and randomness all involved. But it is, yeah, I mean, whatever's happening to make this happen, we've got those guys up there, these two down here, would have been nice if those eyes went right in those holes there, but they don't seem to quite want to do that. But if we make them do that, we'll go in that. If we make those fit, I've got a square larger than we need, a rectangle larger than we need. Favor the inside there. Something like that. But it's very close though. Neat. Okay. And really tight rectangle. And these people enjoying a bit of an afternoon here. If we take all the people on the bench, creates a 5 square, which in this perspective is the same height as that guy. Even though it's starting way back there, they're ending at the same height in the photograph. If we go to the height of the ladies, and see, relative to their height, they're sitting that far apart. Their heads are occupying these 2 squares. She's a little closer to this guy, but he's got his back turned. Knees right there. Again, if we go back to include those to the ground, and we get their faces kind of almost in those 2 squares. Exclude the guy's foot. Nice. Yep, so ants keep going up in this way. Okay, so another one would be this obvious one here is this horse. So the horse is going to kind of be its own phi rectangle. If we go to the height of the chief, this is supposedly a chief, which certainly looks right. Beautiful headpiece. So we go to the head. Most obviously we can see that that blanket is filling this square perfectly, so, or really well. That's the center. And then if we rotate it, we can imagine trying to find down where the feet are. It's probably up here. Yeah, it'll be almost the opposite on that blanket, but it'll move that centerpiece so that the body fills it. So vertically the person fills it, and horizontally the horse fills it. right in the same spot there. Cool. The flamingos. Again, they're making, looks like a very good rectangle right there. Somewhere in there, the feet, I'm going to say right about there. So they form a beautiful rectangle. If we exclude their heads. Okay. So far they're all doing some kind of cohesive rectangle. And this one, this is a flamenco party in Spain, I believe. Or a show, I guess, not a, which is also a party. So they're going to make a rectangle just between those two women and the guy in the center. From the ground to the top of her hand, about, or her hand there. It's a little fudgy, but it's a highly organic scenario here, so that's a fantastic rectangle. We've got two elephants. Again, if they are fighting or they are not fighting. Now the elephant itself is going to be a nice phi rectangle. And together, it will not be very tight, but we can see that they are meeting in the middle, and each of them has their front leg on this area here. Go right to their tail and down to about there. Which moves that off of there, but puts both of the eyes right in this square. And both of their trunks right in this, in front of this line. Could be this one here more. That's low on their legs, but nah. Anyway, yeah, okay. Something like that. And this one, these leaf cutter ants. I'm not sure if they're leaf cutter ants, but I believe these ants are pulling these two leaves together to make a nest. And in doing so, they create this phi rectangle, which is very close, very tight. Antenna's way up there, obviously. But that's too big, so this is just body to rough body. Somewhere right in there. Actual body to body. Makes an even tighter one. Neat. Cool picture, MD. And let's look at the 5 spiral. Yeah. Yeah, now let's go to the full one. Neat. And this one. Yeah, feels like it wants to be something like that. Which is pretty awesome there, I think. Now if we do that one widthwise, from the ground to the top. Which is also incidentally about the width of the tail, it looks like, if that's a continuation of the tail. it's funny, for both of their positions, the spiral's right on the tail, even though the tail's in a different relative position and they are themselves in a different position. Yeah, this being to the end of the tail there, and to the height from the ground. I don't know where the end of that tail is, so, but it could be something like that, in which case that would change the whole thing. But coming from this side, funny. Top to bottom. Just because the buffalo's face isn't centered in the photograph, but or in this rectangle. But if we ignore that and just look at this, you can see that in the group, this one is in fact totally centered. For the people, what's going on? Yeah, I guess the height of the bench needs to obviously right in those phi lines, in that center channel, relative to her. She is centered. And if she is centered, I'm going to put that spiral right on their chest there. To the ground. fact, does that also. And that's all perspective, right? But that's kind of neat. Yeah. Or if we just do those two ladies tight like that. Again to the ground. Neat. This one, if we go from the nose to the, or from the ground to the top of the headdress there. Again, centered on the blanket. Yes, so I think that's a fairly key relationship there. Horse and rider. And I like how that width vertically, because it's a square. I mean, you can see the square in there. And they are making a square together. So it's alternating this vertical, this horizontal center with this vertical center. And putting the rider's face possibly almost right in that little window. Good posture. Good posture. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's see the flamingos. From the ground to the top. Something like that. And if we go right out to the absolute edge of the feathers, hey, it's possible we can get that happening. Which looks like it wants to be about there. Which could be the ground level. Feels like the ground level is right about there. But yeah, anyway, something like that. Spirals right on the leg joints. This line coming down there. Bodies right on that phi line. And so their whole bodies are in this middle channel. Yeah, and their heads are doing this kind of dance up here. That's quite a bit taller than them, but tighten it up a bit. But yeah, that middle channel, the legs and the heads. Cool. In an extreme extreme measure, we could do that horizontally. That arc and also this cross basically right where their necks are crossing, and this cross right where their beaks are, talking about that internal area there a little bit. Neat. And our flamenco dancers. What a show. What a show. If we go to the whole group and include this woman also, depends how that's happening. Feels like it's really between these three. If we exclude the arms, they are a very tight phi rectangle here. In this particular moment in time, they're almost a perfect phi rectangle. If we use the height of this guy, the ground, I mean, yeah. Look at that phi spiral. Right on her knee, right on this level. And puts him right in the center. He's almost directly in that center channel. Hard to say. Good time though. Good time had by all. Awesome. And the elephants go from end to end. Their heads right in that middle channel. gotta be that. That's gotta be that. So we base the whole thing off the size of that. End piece. Part. Yeah, it's doing about that. It's a very tight rectangle, so not exactly sure what else to do with that. Cool. Okay. Then let's also try the line map here. This is a Fibonacci based rectangular pattern. Just bisecting rectangles. Something like that, but let's go tight. Or we'll go end to end. It's really describing the center of the hill there. Is the same width that they are. So that perfect triangulation there, and that's right on the eye, right down the back. And that framing the head in there too. What are the odds of that? That's weird. I mean, I'm fudging it here, but that's basically the bottom of the hill. The width of them puts them just like that. Do that again, sort of centered right on the center of the hill there. To the bottom. And that's a little crazy too. Puts the head right in there. Moves that line back to the ear almost. It's a safe zone in there, I guess. Guessing that's a mama with her cubs. Neat. Okay, let's try the kangaroos. So that one goes to the back of the tail, to the height. Get something like that. This line describing basically right that point. This line describing a similar point on the other one, but in different positions. And again, putting the X right on the tail. Ears through a line. Nose also through a line. Hands almost right on that point. Nice, nice. Say that's centered right on the big fella here. I'm guessing it's sort of a leader, aware of this photographer. Doing that. And these folks. You can almost get her foot, those 2 feet touching. Throws the center off though. But in fact centers the whole thing between these 2 gentlemen. Better than if we just center it right on the women. If we center it right on the women, it's there. Off that guy, into that guy. And if we center it between those 2, then their feet hit these 2 points and the umbrella. So they're pointing at the cognitive, at the, are they? Is that what's going on? They're both, I mean, yeah, but anyway. yeah, when those 2 points align with their feet, and this being that dimension of all of them together, then it centers the whole square between these two gentlemen. That's funny, because they're not centered in it, but their feet are. Nice. And this wild character, few stories to tell. So at that scale, for the horse, the feet would be here. Throws it all a little bit off center. There's a fairly clear, how's that for a horizon axis? And almost the way that rider's sitting and the way the horse is. Yeah, so whatever's up with that. Gets described a little bit here, but there we go. Yeah, some major lines there. That's going to be a good center of gravity, I guess, in a sense. Well, the real center is right down here, but this is the real center. Right in there somewhere. But that's a significant thing there too. Leaning back because of the way because the horse is drinking, I think. Wild. And even just the orientation of the headdress there. Like I'm a little bit seeing those lines because there's lines there that you won't necessarily see without them. But at the same time, feels like they're real when I do see them. X on the gun. X of feet will be right in here when they're riding, probably. My head will be a little forward into that area, maybe. Maybe the whole thing rotates. Not sure. Cool. Okay, let's try the Flamingos. Go roughly from body to body, down to the ground. Neat. Yeah, so they're standing just outside the width of that. And if we tighten that up, oh, maybe that's better. Yeah, so that and to the whole thing. Might be roughly like that. Wild. If we take that one and do on the stage, parallel with the stage, horizon line, that same scale, do that, which shows that point there also, and that point. This one doing sort of vertical lines here. See that one and that one, two parallel lines. She's right in the middle. That one, he's right in the middle. And she's sort of centered on this one. And he's a little bit there. Even look at that. See, it's describing the angle of her shawl. Pointing at that black shadow mark. Right from the top of her dress, skirt there, to the angle of the shawl. Is that whole line. That's so funny. Right. Yeah, cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to do more people one. Or people ones. Neat. Okay. And the elephants, then more or less centered, well below the feet. but putting the X right in there, of which the heads are kind of doing that. If we go to the feet, which are there probably. Yeah. And the ants. Just doing that body almost exactly in that angle. I should know that angle, but might be like, I think it's like 28 degrees or something. Not sure about this one. And even that line connecting their two mouths. So they're literally stitching this together, and relative to the length of their body, body to body, excluding the legs, more or less parallel with the leaf, and their mouths are on the same line. Cool. Cool. Okay. Well, that was great. I mean, we could try this one. Sometimes it is effective. We'll just see if it's effective on the cheetahs. Maybe we'll go with it. Yeah, I might do different things, but it'll all be sort of variations of stuff we've already seen. Awesome. Thank you, folks. That was a great little investigation there. Thank you, people who took those photographs. Amazing pictures. And hopefully you'll join us on the next one. Have a great day out there. Be safe.